Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn about the parliamentary system. Mainly we study about the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, functions of the parliament, the president and finally the prime minister and the council of ministers. Friends, we know the Indian parliament consists of the president and the two houses of parliament, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The parliament and the two houses form the union legislature. So friends, now let's study about Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha is called the House of the People. This is because of its members are elected directly by the people. There are total 552 seats in the Lok Sabha. Out of these, 530 members are elected from the states and 20 members are elected from the union territories. In order to become a member of the Lok Sabha, a candidate must be a citizen of India, not less than 25 years of age. A candidate can be disqualified if he holds an office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state, if he is of an unsound mind, and finally, if he has acquired the citizenship of another country. Normally, the tenure of the members of the Lok Sabha is 5 years. Now let's study the procedure for election. Members of the Lok Sabha are elected through the general election. Elections take place every 5 years. For the purpose of elections, the country is divided into constituencies. A constituency is a geographical area represented by a member of parliament. Only one person is elected from each constituency. All citizens who have attained the age of 18 years or above have the right to vote. People cast their votes through the secret ballot. These days, electronic voting machines are mainly used in elections. After the electoral result, the leader of the party with the maximum number of elected members is invited by the president to form the government. The other parties together form the opposition. Friends, now let's study about the speaker. The members of parliament elect the presiding officer or the speaker of the Lok Sabha from among themselves. The speaker is chosen from the ruling party. He is expected to act in an impartial manner. The speaker supervises the proceeding and maintains order in the house. G.V. Mavalankar was the first speaker of the Lok Sabha. Now let's learn about Rajya Sabha. The Council of States or the Rajya Sabha is the upper house of the parliament. There can be a maximum of 250 members in the Rajya Sabha, out of which 238 members represent the states and the union territories. Members of the state legislative assemblies elect members of the Rajya Sabha. The vice president is the presiding officer or chairman of the Rajya Sabha. In order to become a member of Rajya Sabha, a candidate must be a citizen of India, not less than 30 years of age. A candidate can be disqualified if he holds any office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state, if he is of unsound mind, and if he has acquired the citizenship of another country. The members of the Rajya Sabha are elected for a term of 6 years. Now let's study the functions of the parliament. The parliament performs several functions. They are introduction of new laws, financial control over the government's income, control over the executive, then finally organ of information. Now let's study one by one. First, introduction of new laws. The parliament can introduce new laws and change the old ones. A law is first introduced in the form of a bill. A bill is a draft of a proposed law. The bills can be broadly classified into three. They are money bills, ordinary bills, constitutional amendment bills. First, let's study money bills. Money bill contain provisions related to tax regulations, regulations of borrowing of money by the governments, payments to or withdrawal from the contingency or the consolidated fund of India. Then how a bill becomes a law? There are certain stages. They are first reading, second reading and third reading. First reading, the person who introduces the bill delivers a speech to explain the purpose and importance of the bill. Second reading, the bill is discussed in detail. Those who are in favor give their arguments stating why it is necessary, and those who oppose it point out its weaknesses. And third reading, in this stage, the final form of the bill is put before the House. Final discussion takes place and final bill is put to vote. If more than 50% of members vote in favor, the bill is passed. Next, the bill is sent to the other house where it goes through the same procedure. The other house may pass the bill or may send it back with some suggestions. Once both the houses pass the bill, it is sent to the Parliament for approval. The President may also suggest some changes and send the bill back. However, the Parliament may or may not accept these changes and send the bill back to the President. In such a case, the President has to sign the bill. After this, the bill becomes a law. And the ordinary bills are draft proposal for ordinary legislation. And the constitutional amendment bills deals with the amendment of our constitution. They can be introduced in either house of parliament. Second, financial control over the government's income. The Parliament exercises strict vigilance over the finances of the state. The Parliament provides ways and means to raise the revenue required and also ensures that the money so granted has been spent for the authorized purposes. Third, control over the executive. The Parliament exercises complete control over the executive. The Parliament keeps a check on the ministers and their works. Then finally, organ of information. The Parliament works as an organ of information. Members of Parliament can call for any information except that which may threaten the security of the country. Friends, now let's study about the Indian President. The President of India is the head of the state. He is elected by an electoral college which consists of the elected members of both the House of Parliament and the legislative assemblies of the state and union territories of Delhi and Puducherry. The President is elected for a term of 5 years. Now let's look at the eligibility of the President. A person should have the following eligibility to become the President. He must be a citizen of India and not less than 35 years of age, and finally, not holding any office of profit under the central, state or local government. Now let's study the salary and allowances. The President draws a salary of 1.5 lakh per month. He is entitled to other allowances as permissible by law in force from time to time. The salary and the allowance cannot be reduced during the President's term of office. Now, what are the powers he has? He has the legislative powers, executive powers, judicial powers, financial power, military powers, diplomatic power, and finally emergency power. The President can be removed from office on grounds of violating the Constitution. The process of removing the President from office is called impeachment. Now, let's study the list of the Presidents of India from beginning. First, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Second, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. Third, Dr. Zakir Hussain. Fourth, Varagiri Venkatagiri. Fifth, Dr. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad. Sixth, Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. Seventh, Gyani Zail Singh. Eighth, R. Venkataraman. Ninth, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma. 10th, K.R. Narayanan. 11th, Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. 12th, Pratibha Devi Singh Patel. 13th, Pranav Mukherjee. And finally, Ramnath Kovind. Now let's study the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. As the President of India is the constitutional head, the real executive authority of the Union is exercised by the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. He is also the leader of the Lok Sabha. The President acts on the advice of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the link between the President and the legislature. He is also responsible for the effective functionings of the government. Now let's study the Council of Ministers. There is a Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President in the exercise of his functions. The President acts in accordance with such advice. The Council of Ministers is divided into Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, Deputy Ministers. The Cabinet Ministers hold the highest rank and take important decisions. They head different portfolios or departments of the central government like finance and defense. Ministers of State and Deputy Ministers have to abide by the decisions made by the Cabinet. Now let's study the eligibility. To be appointed as a minister, a person must be a member of either House of Parliament. However, a person who is not a member can be appointed for 6 months, but he has to obtain membership of either house during this time. Friends, now let's study about the functions of the Council of Ministers. We know the Prime Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers. The Council works under the Prime Minister as a team. It is collectively responsible and is answerable to the Parliament for any decision taken by it. If a vote of no confidence is passed against the government, the Council of Ministers has to resign. Friends, now let's look into the list of the Prime Ministers of India from beginning. First, Jawaharlal Nehru. Second, Gulzari Lal Nanta. Third, Lal Bahadur Shastri. Fourth, Indira Gandhi. Fifth, Morarji Desai. Sixth, Chaudhary Charan Singh. Seventh, Rajiv Gandhi. Eighth, Vishwanath Pratap Singh. Ninth, Chandrasekhar. 10th, P.V. Narasimha Rao. 11th, H.D. Dev Gowda. 12th, Inder Kumar Gujral. 13th, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. 14th, Manmohan Singh. And finally, Narendra Modi. So friends, I hope you understood a little bit idea about the parliamentary system, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and the functions of the Parliament, the President, and the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. If you really understood a little bit about this topic, please like, comment and subscribe for upcoming videos. Thank you.